Hi, I'm Hyunsung Choe from CMU. In this video, I present our CSCW paper, Reflect Not Regret, Understanding Regretful Smartphone Use with App Feature Level Analysis. This work was done when I was a student at KAIST. To better explain what it means to analyze app features, let's start with the demo of our app called Finesse, which was used in our study. This app was built to track feature usage and ask experience sampling questions about the feature level usage. Let's take an example footage of Instagram use and see how Finesse works when the user interacts with different features in Instagram. So the user first enters Instagram and browses through posts from accounts that they follow, the following post feature. Then the user transitions to the suggested post feature, browsing through posts that are suggested by Instagram's recommendation algorithm. While browsing through suggested posts, the user finds an interesting user and clicks their profile, moving on to the others post feature and continues browsing through their posts for a while and ends the app session. At the end of the app session, Finesse prompts an experience sampling question asking which parts of Instagram they regret using. As we saw from Instagram, there are many features within an app these days. Our work investigating feature level usage was motivated by this trend of super app. These super apps take a strategy to ship multiple features in a single app instead of separating those into multiple apps for higher engagement. Some examples of these features are chat or messaging, browsing through friends' posts, stories, groups, pages, videos, news, shopping, and search, all in the same app. This trend of super apps, however, could be problematic as high engagement in smartphone use often makes users regret for spending excessive amount of time on the phone, compulsively using out of habit without specific intention, and using smartphone in a less meaningful way. To help smartphone users reduce regretful use, existing interventions provide feedback on the phone or app usage with screen time information to encourage self-reflection with more quantitative information. Or they take a restrictive approach to limit access to the phone or certain apps temporarily. However, both approaches are limited to phone or app-level informatics and app-level interventions. In this work, we aim to better understand what is happening at the feature level during regretful smartphone usage, and we draw insights for more nuanced interventions based on these feature level findings. Using the construct of regret, we've answered the question when and why do people feel they shouldn't have used the phone, and we dissect smartphone use at app feature level as shown in the demo video. We use the construct of regret as a lens to examine smartphone use. Regret in behavior economics is defined as a counterfactual emotion based on a counterfactual inference of what should have happened as an alternative versus what actually happened. In the context of smartphone use, this translates to that users regret when the expected rewards of alternative actions to smartphone use exceed the actual rewards of smartphone use. Following this line of concept, in the analysis, we focus on what are the perceived rewards of smartphone use and when and why do the rewards have less perceived value and thereby lead users to regret. And as we saw in the demo video, our app Finesse tracks the sequence of feature usage and shows an ESM prompt that summarizes the feature usage sequence and asks for regretful experience at the end of a session. In our user study, 29 users of YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and KakaoTalk participated, and the study was held in Korea. For a week, we collected feature-level usage data and experience samples using Finesse and conducted semi-structured retrospective interviews individually. In this presentation, we report two highlights of the findings. First, the results of decomposing regretful use into finding out what are the rewards of social media app use and what are the alternative rewards. Next, we explain 3 feature-level patterns of how the interplay of these rewards leads to regretful use. Our thematic analysis shows that from social media app use, users appreciated social rewards, informational rewards, personal interest, and entertainment. Alternatively, Participants thought they should have worked, slept, or focused on conversations rather than using the phone for better productivity, physical conditions, and social relationships and norms. We also extracted 3 major feature-level patterns of regretful use. The first pattern is related to habitual checking. Participants exhibited a pattern of checking following-based features on entrance. These features provide posts, stories, and videos by friends or subscribing channels that the users are following. Some examples of these features are Facebook's newsfeed, Instagram's following posts, and view stories. This habitual checking itself does not always lead to regret, however, but only when it occurs repeatedly and fails to deliver any new content, hence no reward. The second regretful pattern is deviation from original purpose of use. We observed a pattern of feature tour in which participants wandered around different features within the same app. And this happened either by hopping onto other features after failing to earn rewards from habitual checking, or deviating although they opened an app for instrumental purpose with a clear intention of use. Participants who were unconsciously distracted often landed on features with infinitely available posts or videos, and they reported their experiences being hard to resist these deviations due to the app's workflow design in which utilitarian and hedonistic usage are all mixed in between. For example, in Instagram, users must pass across the suggested posts in order to use the search feature. The third pattern is related to prolonged use that brings users down the rabbit hole. Participants reported that it's especially hard to resist the thought of consuming just a bit more of bite-sized content suggested by the recommendation algorithms. This pattern is highly noticeable in this visual distribution chart over the time in a session. For example, in Instagram and Facebook, when participants used a session for more than 10 minutes, the usage was dominated by these pink recommendation-based features of each app. Reflecting on our results, we questioned why did our participants repeat regretful choices when they explicitly reported being regretful? Why is it so hard to stop regretful choices? Our hypothesis is that people make an impulsive choice for sooner, smaller rewards of using smartphone over larger, later rewards of better productivity, accomplishment, and health due to the delayed discount of future reward in its present value. Furthermore, the current social media app designs only exacerbate these patterns by embedding dark patterns in the workflow design, guiding users towards features that present instant but endless gratifications. Based on these findings, we drew 3 main design implications for reducing regretful smartphone use. The first is empowering users to have better foresight and expectations of rewards in the app before habitual entrance. For example, by showing how much following-based content is available now or charged now before actually going into the app. The second suggestion is making users better aware of possible alternative rewards while using the smartphone so that they don't deviate into unwanted use or they don't fall into the rabbit hole. For example, reminding users of the possible alternatives through a prompt. Lastly, participants reported that seeing the feature-level smartphone usage summary helps them identify how much time was spent out of necessity and how much was not. And the feature-level details also help them create an actionable plan on their phone use. Thus, existing interventions such as the screen time report could consider adding finer granularity of screen time information. And here's a summary of our key findings, and please refer to our paper for more details and interesting findings that we could not cover in this presentation. I'm happy to take any questions or have a chat about our work. So if you're interested, please send me an email or join the discussion at the conference. Thank you.